In this video, I'm giving you a few tips to promote your music overseas. What's up, guys? Brandon here from KDMR Music, the channel making you a more successful musician. Now, I do that every week through music marketing, music strategy, and music business education videos, just like this one. So if you're interested in that type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Then hit the notification bell icon so that you're notified when I post new videos and you don't miss out. So a couple weeks ago, I hosted a live music marketing Q&A, and someone asked the question and said, well, how do I promote my music overseas? And I thought that's actually a really good question that deserves a video all of its own. But I'm going to give you 3 tips in this video. Now, there are several reasons that you may want to grow an audience in other countries, right? There are a lot of examples of artists who may, be from the United States, maybe based in the United States, but didn't blow up in the United States first. They blew up in a different country and then were able to kind of transfer that success back over to the United States. The most famous example that I am familiar with is The Roots. The Roots, the hip hop band, Questlove and Black Thought, and all the other players, they are from Philadelphia. That's something we know. And now we know them as the stars of The Tonight Show, or the musical backing band for The Tonight Show, and everything's all great. But when they first started out, they were about to get dropped from their label when their manager had the great idea, well, look, let's just take up residency in Europe. And so they went over to Europe, they bought an apartment, they stayed there, and they played shows over and over and over. And the audience in Europe was super excited about them. They were able to pay their bills and stay afloat. And they were able to show the label, look, we're popular over here, right? These are things that work. And then they were able to come back to the United States, and the rest is history. Now, that could be your story as well. There are things that are important in our country, things that are entertaining in our country that may not be entertaining in others, and vice versa. So there are a lot of, for example, if you're a hip hop artist, a lot of the more hardcore or lyrical, so-called underground hip hop is a lot more popular overseas. Places like South Africa, Japan, Europe, they're a lot more popular there than they are here, where we focus a lot more on, I would say, the pop culture aspects of music, right? Where, the catchy hook, the big celebrities, the big star, whatever is new at the moment is what we tend to be excited about in the United States market. So it could be good for you to build up a following overseas. So with all that said, I want to give you a few tips that you can use to actually build your audience overseas. Now, the first tip that I'm going to give you is to use your social media insights to see where your audience already is. Now, what that's going to do is, one, it's going to tell you where you need to work harder, right? The majority of us in the United States are going to have our audience almost exclusively in the United States. But you may find in your Spotify dashboard that there's a few people that have added you to playlists in other countries. Right now, here's what you want to know about those other countries. Where are they? And what are the cultural norms? And the reason we want to know that is because we want to know what places are similar to that, right? So if my music is really popular in Germany, maybe it'll be popular in France, in the Netherlands, right? Maybe it'll be popular in some other European nations. And that's something that we can use. Now, later on, we may use social media ads to actually place that music in front of those audiences, but we're not going to know where to place it if we don't look at our audience dashboard first. So that's tip number 1. Now, tip number 2, and this is super important, is you want to make sure that the content you're promoting is culturally appropriate for the place that you're promoting it to. For example, if you're promoting music to Arab nations, more specifically Muslim nations, right, then you don't want to have music or a music video where the women are scantily clad, right? That is super against the cultural norms in that area. And that's just one example. But the worst thing that you can do is promote your music to an audience that it's not relevant to. And but maybe even worse than that is promoting your audience or your music to an audience that is actively against it. It is a great way to find yourself in hot water, especially when you become a touring artist and you don't know what's normal in those other countries. You don't know what types of bad actors there are. You could be opening yourself up to attacks and all sorts of things just because you were insensitive to the cultures in the area you promoted your music to. So make sure your music's appropriate before you start just, you know, turning on ad budgets and putting content out there in front of people who really don't want it. Now, my third tip is a little bit of a hack. Now, if your intended audience speaks another language, then you should cater to them, right? Think about like the reggaeton movement with artists like Daddy Yankee and stuff like that, right? They became popular in the United States because there's a huge Latino population, but also because the music sounded American enough, right? There was English parts to the songs and there were Spanish parts to the songs. So you were able to appeal to multiple sensibilities and take the same content and go multiple different markets with it. So if your audience is speaking another language, then maybe you can put something in your music that speaks that language as well. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not saying that just because you want to promote your music to Portugal that you need to speak Portuguese in your music. There are people who speak English in every country in the world. But what I'm saying is if you desire to have a primarily one language speaking audience or bilingual audience, then you got to do things that call out to them so that they know that you're for them. So Shaggy or Daddy Yankee was one example. I think Shaggy is another good example, right? Think about that song, It Wasn't Me. And with a lot of the songs that he ended up putting out in the 2000s, right? There was the very, R&B kind of styled hook, the singing, the melodies, all of that sounded very American, right? But then on the song It Wasn't Me, the verses have the dance hall, what we would call DJ talk, right? So the point is they've got the dance hall, and so it appeals to those who may have some Caribbean background or may even be from Jamaica or other island nations, right? So you want to make sure that your music can appeal to multiple audiences if your goal is to capture them. So those are my 3 tips for promoting your music overseas or making sure your music is good for overseas audiences. Now, if you want to learn more about how to promote your music in general, because a great way to actually get your music in front of these people is Facebook ads. And we do teach Facebook ads inside of our community, the Master Music Marketing community. Now, it's a private community where I host monthly live Q&As via Zoom. And inside that private community, you get access to my online course called The Next Steps, How to Market Your Music the Right Way. So we talk about everything from making sure your music sounds good, getting all of your royalties in place so that you're getting paid every time your music is played. We talk about building a website and building an e-commerce platform so that potential fans can purchase from you on day one without you spending a bunch of money out of pocket. And then we talk about advanced marketing strategies, both online and offline, that will help you bring more listeners and turn them into fans on demand. So if you're interested in joining that community, you can actually join the community for the remainder of 2020 using the promo code Last Chance to save $100 off your enrollment. That means you're getting lifetime access for just $97. I hope you'll join us inside the community. And I hope you found this video helpful. If so, give it a thumbs up. Let me know what your experience has been. In the comments, tell me how it's been for you trying to promote your music to multiple audiences overseas. And I'm excited to hear your story. Like I said, I'll see you in another video very soon. Until then, be safe, be well, keep dreaming, and work hard to make those music business dreams your reality. Peace. That, all right.